Well, another day, another shooting. This one occurred in Tulsa. The world's gone crazy. Yep, I know. Now, there are some very interesting angles that come out of this shooting, though, that I thought that we could probably talk about. So if you're interested in things that make you go, hang around. Hello out there. I am trying to get through.
With his powerful brainwaves cradled in the warmth of reasoning, it's time for Johnny Walker Dredd to straighten you out on a thing or two. Emanating all the way from exciting Las Vegas, Oklahoma, it's the Johnny Walker Dredd Show.
All right, so here's the headline in CNN, and this thing has been updated continuously. This is really new. It's very important. It says here, gunman who killed 4 at Oklahoma Medical Building had been a patient of a victim, police chief says. Now the focus is going to be on the lack of pain medication that the victim... Oh, I'm sorry, did I call him a victim? Yeah, I guess that was a slip. At any rate, the shooter, okay? The shooter was denied pain medication, and that is just so absurd. It's horrible. We have to do something about that.
Another mass shooting, new details, 3 federal sources confirming to CNN that the gunman here in Tulsa, Oklahoma, purchased the AR-15 style firearm the day of the shooting. Yesterday. We know that authorities received a 911 call just shortly after 4:50 p.m. local time. They arrived on the scene shortly thereafter. The call was about a man with a rifle. When officers arrived to the St. Francis Hospital complex behind me, they heard gunshots that led them to the 2nd floor. They ran up there. As soon as they got there, the shooting suddenly stopped, police sources say. When the officers got into the area, they found the first victim. They found the next victim, and then they found the shooter, who apparently shot himself with a pistol. One person was shot at the center behind me, transported out, died en route, so a total of 5 dead, including the gunman. And yes, more details on the firearms. We can now confirm AR-15 style firearm bought the day of the shooting. There was also a handgun found on the scene. Both weapons were fired at one point or another, and sources tell CNN that the handgun was purchased on May 29th. So we're talking about a semi-automatic rifle and a semi-automatic pistol. But this was chaos on the scene. The building where the shooting took place, multi-story building, hundreds of rooms, hundreds of people inside. Witnesses describing chaos as law enforcement searched room to room trying to find survivors. Take a listen.
It's sad. It's so sad.
One thing I do is I don't listen to these man on the street kind of interviews of people. This is how a lot of misinformation gets spread. Frankly, I think we should quit doing that crap. I think a lot of people, not so much this gunman, but a lot of these shooters are really turned on by the misery and the horror that they inflict on others. And so this type of interview, in my opinion, is only making matters worse, but that's just my opinion. A few things that come to mind. First of all, the man already had a .40 caliber semi-automatic handgun. Well, what the hell do you need an AR-15 for? You can't kill a person with a handgun? A .40 caliber? Really? Buying an AR-15 rifle to go into a shooting inside a hospital is stupid. I mean, it's hard to conceal. A person could have easily have stopped him. Why in the world, if you got a handgun that's that powerful, that you would go and buy an AR-15? You would put the handgun normally in a jacket pocket or something, and you can penetrate into the area where you want to do the shooting. If you buy an AR-15, you're carrying that thing around, you're just telling everybody you're armed. Somebody's going to react to it. Now, in this case, that didn't happen, but he was just lucky, I guess, if you want to use the word lucky for something like this. It just seems a little twisted, I guess, but I have no idea what the deal is with the AR-15. Why do you feel the need to use one? Makes no sense at all. But whatever the case, we could move on to some other ideas here. he already had the 40 caliber semi-auto in his possession before he bought the AR-15. So again, he already had the weapon. Why would you need another one? I don't get that at all. And if you're going to go and buy another weapon because maybe you want to have a backup, why not buy another pistol? You're talking close range with a powerful pistol. I mean, that's good enough. I don't get it. I don't understand this at all. Now, let's go ahead and scroll on down through this news story, and you're going to notice that something's missing. Let's take a look. All right, here we start. The shooter, Michael Lewis, who police said killed himself after the rampage in Tulsa, had just earlier that afternoon legally purchased one of the firearms used in the slaughter, an AR-15 style rifle. But he also used the 40 caliber, which he had purchased earlier, but there's no mention of it here. But they want to focus again, AR-15. So we'll scroll on down here. There's a nice picture of the outside. Actually, it's not worth anything, but okay. He blamed Dr. Phillips for the ongoing pain following the surgery. And you're going to see why the left is going to latch on to that and say, we have to understand that he was in terrible chronic pain. Taking it out on people in hospitals is something that is understandable if you're in that kind of pain here. The real culprit, denying him his medications. And you may be wondering, oh, well, come on now, why would they do that? Well, you'll see here in a minute. The mass shooting is among the latest instances nationwide of first responders and civilians coming face to face with the threat of gun violence in public places. It comes more than 2 weeks after a racist assault at a supermarket in Buffalo and a bloody attack at a church in California, and 8 days after a heartbreaking massacre at an elementary school in Uvalde, Texas. And I've said it before, we don't need to be told that the massacre is heartbreaking. That's for the reader to decide. Again, when you start spitting your own beliefs and your own feelings into these news articles, it feeds propaganda. I think there should be an editorial policy. You tell the people what happened. It's up to the people to decide how to interpret it. Okay, we'll scroll on down some more. And another worthless shot of the outside of a building with a bunch of people mingling. Go ahead, we'll go on down now. Here we have a picture of one of the victims. In fact, this is the doctor that the dude was after. And he's handshaking and smiling. This is obviously chosen very well. It puts the doctor in a very good light, and I have nothing against that. I have nothing against the doctor. He may have been a very fine doctor for all I know, although there was one person who didn't think so. Now, who are these two people? Dr. Preston Phillips, right, shakes hands with Dr. Comey Foley during a medical mission in Togo. Okay, now let's go ahead and scroll on down some more. And here's one of the people that was shot, and she died, by the way. She's a doctor, Dr. Stephanie Hewson. And now we have a description of what happened. We have a picture here of a bunch of flowers. And you'll notice the gunman isn't shown. Now, I know what you're thinking. Well, now that's a policy. That's a good policy. We don't show the people who committed the act because, that would encourage more to do the same. Well, this man committed these acts because he was in chronic pain, so I don't see that connection. But there's another reason why you're not being shown the picture of the perpetrator. Oh, by the way, here's another article by Insider. We can scroll on down through here. Scroll all you like. You're not going to see a photo of the perpetrator. Rodneysa Bichot Hermelin. I have no idea if I even came close. Now, who is she? Well, she's a politician. She's the first female, get this, Haitian American assembly member in New York City, proudly representing Flatbush. I remember the old movie, The Lords of Flatbush, way, way back. Midwood and whatever. But whatever the case is, she's a Haitian American and she's a politician. And wow, what did she say? She goes, "We can't even process one mass shooting before the next occurs." No, I can process them. I mean, I'm not stupid. So let's go on down. Today's atrocity in Tulsa happened on the 101st anniversary of the Tulsa Black Wall Street Massacre. White supremacy is clearly a factor, and she sent this to Joe Biden. Now, this is what's really funny, and I know what some of you are thinking. Okay, we know the race of the person involved, but this is where it gets really good. Watch. We get from Andy No. "I believe I have found the Twitter account belonging to the Tulsa Haitian mass shooter Michael Lewis." At 4:41 p.m. local time on June 1st, the account tweeted, "Today is a beautiful day." The shooting happened around 4:52 p.m., so this was only about 10 minutes prior to the shooting. And by the way, yeah, he's nuts. You could tell by looking at him. But hardly the white supremacist that we were led to believe. And it goes on. The Twitter account posted a link to a YouTube page belonging to Mike Lewis, which doesn't have original content, but does have a playlist. The last videos added yesterday were about how to use the AR-15. The Tulsa mass shooter used an AR-15 style rifle. So he has a .40 caliber handgun, and I assume he knows how to use it. And he gets a rifle that he doesn't even know how to use, I assume. Why would you do that? I mean, you have a handgun. Go buy another one if you want two guns. Strange. But you can see here that that his post is in French. So that sort of reinforces the notion that he is Haitian. And Andy No says, exclusive, Michael Lewis, also known as Michele Louis Baptiste, I think I got pretty close with that one, the Haitian mass shooter who killed 4 at a hospital in Tulsa, Oklahoma, was class of 1996 at East Orange High School in East Orange, New Jersey. Again, we need to put a fence up at our border and keep them people of the Northeast out. Don't take it too seriously. And now we have NPR. Police say the doctor of the Tulsa gunman who killed 4 people at a hospital was among the dead. The shooter complained about back pain after surgery and sought treatment days before the attack. This is NPR. Again, this is going to be their story. Yeah, he was black and he was a gunman and he killed a whole bunch of people. But you know what? I mean, he was in pain. I mean, you can't hold that against him. Another victim of recent drug laws that now offer surgery patients Tylenol, etc., instead of opiates. I'm not being flip about an awful event, but people in serious pain become desperate. Not excusing the horrible actions of the Tulsa gunman, but the issue of chronic pain cannot be ignored. Millions are suffering because the healthcare system is afraid of pain management and ensuring patients don't suffer. Back pain, it's all doctors really understand about some conditions. Unfortunately, the focus on drug seekers leaves folks in pain. OPLL affects about 1% of the population. 1 in 5 with schizophrenia have it. Back pain is no excuse. Lack of treatment is a problem. Why didn't he seek additional medical treatment? Chronic pain kills via suicides and now murder. I guess maybe the next physician who sees this will probably be more understanding of giving pain meds. Maybe, alongside talking about guns, we also look at making sure people who are suffering have their needs met. We aren't getting rid of guns, but we can erase others' pain. Oh, by the way, this is pretty funny. I want to express our community's profound gratitude for the broad range of first responders who did not hesitate today to respond to this act of violence, Tulsa Mayor G.T. Bynum said at a news conference Wednesday. Franklin said the department's training led officers to take action promptly and without hesitation. What he's saying is, we're not a whole bunch of pussy cops like they have in Texas. We see horror, we go in. I was once in so much dental pain, had no insurance or job at the time. I contemplated getting heroin just for the pain to go away. If the government would restrict access to guns as aggressively as they've restricted access to pain management, the world would be safer. This is in no way a defense of the shooter. Oh no, of course not. Who was wrong in every way. That's it, he was wrong. That's how you describe a person who goes into a hospital and shoots up a whole bunch of people, killing them? He was wrong? By the way, some of you may be wondering, well, was the hospital a gun-free zone? And I'm not sure. Now, you might be thinking, a hospital, of course it's a gun-free zone. This is Oklahoma, all right? And so I went to the Giffords Law Center. Oh, geez. This is pretty pathetic when you have to go to these assholes to uncover any kind of information. But they actually did have something here that was worthwhile. And it says, location restrictions in Oklahoma about guns. And if we go down here, it says any structure, building, or office space owned or leased by a city, town, county, state, or federal government authority for the purpose of conducting business with the public, that is a building that typically restricts access to guns. However, if you go to the very bottom, Oklahoma has no statutes prohibiting firearms in the following places, although administrative regulations may apply, and one of those is hospitals. So I don't know. St. Francis is a private hospital. They very well could ban guns from the premises, but I don't know if they do. So sorry, I can't help you there. I did go to the St. Francis website. I didn't see anything. So the only way to find out for sure would be to call them. And I have a feeling that calling them right now about bringing a gun into the hospital would probably not be a good idea. Like my video, subscribe to my channel.